Good morning and welcome to Greg's World. Hope everybody had a great winter and now spring is here. What I'm going to be doing in this program is talking about this piece that I'm making. It's called a Queen Anne Highboy, or a tall chest. This form was probably made, if it was an old one, about 1760, maybe the early 70s. And it's made out of maple. It wasn't called a highboy in the 18th century. It was called a tall chest, or a chest on chest, because this is actually two pieces, not one. And this molding disguises it as one piece. So anyway, this is a New England form. Probably, actually, this apron and this knee shape is Connecticut. I saw a general form and I created this form because I put some signature things in this, my signature on this piece in terms of little design elements. You can see there's an overhang, about a 1/4 inch overhang. And that design of the overhang of the waist molding is a carryover from an earlier style or actually form, William and Mary form. Look at this. This is called a knee return here, and there's a scroll. And if you follow this movement and look at the front and how it moves, nothing is ever static here. It's continuously moving. Now, what I want the viewer to see here is how I don't want any static lines. Look at this. See how that and that are the same movement? Another thing that I love about this design is I look at this foot, this pad foot, like a bowl. And if you could actually, if I elevate it, you could see it's a bowl shape. But what I've done is I've set this leg and ankle inside on top of the bowl here, because there's a line, a very fine line. It's very, very fine. But if you look, it looks like it's sitting in that bowl. And all these lines here are subtle but very bold. Now, another thing that I'll show a little later on, is how I got the crispness of everything here. Because you look at the lines, that apron line, it's very, very crisp. There's a heart. There's a heart. And then that scroll right there, it's just like a violin scroll. I'd never seen that before or anything, but I thought, well, I like that. And as I'm working on pieces, there's design changes all the time. All the time. In fact, I recarved those. I had them done and I looked at it and thought, wow, why don't I do it this way? This part of the tall chest is called a crown molding. Now it's very integral to the rest of the design as far as the movement here. And so what makes up the crown molding are these elements, and this one is called a 1/4 round, and this is a fillet, a cove, an astragal, which is like a 1/2 round, which you can see, and another cove, and a fillet, and a fillet. And the thing about this is everything is tied together. I mean, here we have a cove, this is another astragal, and a 1/4 round, and to me, there's so much movement here, to my eye, and all I'm doing is, the wonderful thing is I'm not a slave to a router or a shaper, because you buy these cutters that make a certain shape and you're tied to those. And I did this part of the crown molding with this. I just started square, and because I don't have a molding plane that cuts this. So I use this rabbet plane and I just whittle away. When I make a piece of furniture, I make it, I'm not making copies. You're not looking at a copy. This is my design. Although the elements, you know, the leg is, everything's traditional. It's just that I take, and I like to use the phrase eyeball, because everything here is eyeballed. Even I use a template to lay this out, but even then, I'm using my eye. I'm not tied to the line that I've left with a pencil. I'm not interested in perfection. It's not stimulating to me. It lacks a tactile human touch. These are half dovetails, and they just slide in. And if you look on the side, you can see the end of it right here. And if you look really close, you can't pick it up. This piece is full of tool marks. So there's tool marks everywhere. And now, not only are there dovetails, but then you see these double pegs here? What these are pegs for are fastening and pulling in. There's a tenon, a piece that continues from here. This is all one piece into here that fits into a rectangular pocket called a mortise, and then they're held in place, pulled in place, held in place, along with glue with these pegs. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tenons on each case side, and then you rotate it around. There's another tenon here, and there's 2 tenons here, one here and one here. Then there's more tenons. Up here, this board right here is called a kicker. And it allows the drawer to travel in and not go from side to side. This pine board, this is tenon into this front stile. And then it's tenon into the backboard. So there's 3 more tenons there, mortise and tenon joints. In this upper rail, you can't see it, but there's a dovetail that's part of the end of this piece that drops down with a corresponding female part of the dovetail, and it doesn't allow the leg to spread out. So this thing is built like a you know, built to. Okay, another aspect of the joinery is there's a lot of dovetails in this piece. As you can see, you know, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14. We've got 28 dovetail pins, top and bottom of this piece. I'm going to show you on the other side. And you notice, I mean, they're not that great. There's some gaps, but who cares? A dovetail joint is an extremely strong joint, and it can be cut poorly. Very poorly. And the thing is, this is exactly what you would see on an 18th century highboy. So now you've got more. And they're all different sizes. And they're not even evenly spaced. But who cares? It doesn't matter. And everything's rough. And again, this is what you would see on an old piece. See these lines? This is recycled wood. I took an old piece of furniture I started making apart because I needed this wood. And I wasn't going to use that piece of furniture. It wasn't even nearly done. And I thought, oh, I need this pine. And that's exactly what you would see on an old piece. There are tool marks everywhere on this. And that really, if somebody says, oh, I've got an old piece of furniture, you can go over and look at it. The first thing I do is I look for tool marks to see if it's machine made, you're not going to see any tool marks other than the table saw marks or the planer marks. But this is very, very different. But again, these drawer runners are made out of pine, and these are old nails. And how I knew where to nail these to the case sides, I actually made a scribe line with a knife again, where I could lay that runner in and nail them down. Now, another thing I want to point out is, if you can zoom in on this one, any of them, you'll see hammer marks, because these are handmade nails. And so this is what you would typically see on the back of a Queen Anne Highboy. It doesn't have to be perfect where you don't see it. I had a man from Waldoboro, Maine, that he's a historic blacksmith, and he makes all kinds of forged hardware for old houses, and he makes, you know, thousands and thousands of handmade nails. But when you look at these, you can see the hammer blows. When he made these heads, he whacked it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So talking about, you know, nails leads me to hardware and handles that I'm going to use for this piece. They use the same alloys as 18th century brasses, and very, very different. They bend easily without any effort because of the alloys. You can polish these and they have a golden glow. That side is different than that. That is different from that. That is different. Although it looks the same, and to the layperson, you say, oh yeah, no, that's all the same. You see how this is a saw. That's a saw kerf, a cut, that I used to take out the mass of the wood for the lock to fit in. So again, everything looks rough, but who cares? It doesn't matter, you don't see it. This is called an escutcheon, which, when you have, instead of having a bare hole like that, you have a key escutcheon. I talked earlier about the movement of the apron and the legs, and how everything is integral and very musical. I think this is a musical piece of furniture because of this movement. It's like highs and lows and the subtleties. I mean, here's a subtlety, the subtlety of music. Here it is right here. It's a very musical movement. And why, in my mind, that it's very musical is because it's not linear. There's this movement here, and everything is tied together. So, and it needs to be crisp. That's even sweeter. So what you see here is that I back cut this. This is not a square cut. I back cut it because that way it's crisp. If you were to walk around and if that stuck out, it would give it this clumsy look. I didn't want that. Most people won't see it, but that is larger from here to here, longer than that one. The same thing with these. And where my concern was is making sure there was no static line here, no flat spots. These are all the pegs that you saw from the outside on the inside, and you don't have to cut them. Why cut them off? You just leave them. You're never gonna see it. Here too, I made a comment, or I spoke about tool marks. Well, there's tool marks on these legs that tell me where to cut the mortise in the leg, and they're all there. They're fine scribe lines that I used with a knife, with that utility knife. I look at this piece of furniture that I've made as a musical piece of furniture because of the movement. And Queen Anne period and form, to me, it's my favorite period and form because the furniture has a movement to it, whether it's mirrors, chairs, tables. You're looking at this thing, and besides finishing the drawers, the last big thing is transforming it from a white piece of furniture to something that's warm and inviting and really pulls you in. There's two things that pull me into a piece of furniture. Initially it's the color, because, well, it's both. It's a symphony. It's the color and the form. See this color? That ain't the color. It's bright yellow, but what I want is a warm look. And how I'm going to get that is I want it to glow. So I'm going to use a bright yellow ground. It could be even brighter than this, like canary yellow, because I want it to glow. But I don't want it bright yellow like that because it's too garish. I can tone it down, and what I'm going to do once I lay that bright color down, which is a powdered pigment, and I'll use mineral spirits for a vehicle and lay it on, let it dry, and then seal it with this brown shellac. From there, I'm going to mix up artist oil color. Thanks for tuning into Greg's World, and I hope you enjoyed this program. And next time I'm going to be talking and showing about how to color and finish this. So that's it.